I've got 10 seasons to win it all, but I'm starting as an unemployed level 1 coordinator, and I won't be able to ever level up throughout my career. My only goal is to win a championship as a level 1 coach, and I can change schools throughout this video, but there's only one team that's interested in giving me a chance now. From the looks of it, there's a lot of head coach jobs that are open, but we have zero coaching experience, so we're not going to be able to get one of those. And we have to start from somewhere where there's one school giving us a chance as an offensive coordinator, Miami, Ohio. I'm not sure why that's our one offer, because they're normally not bad at football, but this is my humbling beginning. I have 10 years to win a championship from this moment, and if I can't do it staying as a level 1 head coach, I'll give away a copy of College Football 26 to a random commenter. I feel like I've stumbled into a pretty fortunate spot because Miami, Ohio actually won the MAC championship this past season. I don't know why they're giving us a shot as their offensive coordinator, but if we can continue that success, we might not be with the Red Hawks for long, only a year potentially, except they are losing some of their best players. They also have a couple guys that want to enter the transfer portal ever since I've decided to come here, so even if they do decide to leave, I'm not sure how much it's going to affect us. What I really need to hone in on is the transfer portal, and I can't believe some of the player names that I'm seeing on here, like quarterback from Indiana, Taven Jackson. I'm going to target him pretty heavily. I can't imagine why a quarterback would ever decide to go to Iowa, but that's his first choice at the moment. You're going to see that we have 8 3-stars already signed, including another QB. And it's so hard to tell who we're going to have on our team next year because anybody that is listed as a senior is actually going to be off of the roster. My plan is really just to target anybody that we can and see how many of them actually sign with Miami, Ohio. My guess would be less than 20, which wouldn't be a bad class size for starting recruiting in the offseason. But then I remembered I'm just an offensive coordinator, so I shouldn't be allowed to recruit defensive players. I'm only going to be able to hop into games playing offensive things. And so when it comes to the players that I'm recruiting, now we're going after a bunch of other transfers, and we're going to have way too many guys on offense. After a lot of time spent on trying to land Taven Jackson, I think he's going to decide on Iowa, so I started to scout a load of other quarterbacks, and none of them turned out to be good. Even Julius Pryor, who's my best option, he ended up being a bust, so I've continued to search, and this could be a good starter for us. The real question, though, is whether or not I was able to sign him. We just didn't have that much time to do any recruiting, but at least I was able to find an impact dev quarterback in the process. That should fly in the MAC. Taven Jackson, of course, would have been better. He settled on Iowa, and we lost one other transfer to Fresno State. For only being able to go after offensive players, though, once I took over, having 21 players signed, including 23 stars, is not bad. And unless senior quarterback Henry Hessen has a huge progression jump during training results, I think our starting quarterback's just going to have to be true freshman Rashad Kindred, who's coming in at a 72. I will say my goal with Miami, Ohio is pretty simple. I want to have a lot of success in these first couple years so I can get a head coaching job, so we're going to try to get our players up to as high as overalls as possible. And I think this roster is capable of doing everything that we need them to as an 81 overall. I just feel blessed that this was the first job that I got as an offensive coordinator. With some roster cuts, we can definitely get that overall a little bit higher. And I'd say our weakest position really is quarterback, where Henry Hessen is not going to be the guy I put out there on the field. He's a 74 overall. He was a former 2-star, and he's going to be gone after this season. So at least if I'm with the Red Hawks for 2-3 years, I would have Rashad Kindred the entire time, and he could still improve his accuracy a little bit more. We also have fun players to use on our offense. Larry Stevens at running back, we had just moved him over from receiver. He's an 84. We have a couple receivers over the 83 threshold. And I'll admit, there's games on our schedule like against Cincinnati and Missouri that aren't going to be a great time, but I think we're going to have a leg up on a lot of these opponents. Remember, I have just 10 years to win it all staying as a level 1 head coach, so I can't go down any of these pathways. We're just going to have to keep our XP, never spend it. And if I can only recruit on the offensive side of the ball as an offensive coordinator, there's not that much that I can do for Miami, Ohio. There are surprisingly a lot of 4-stars that would be willing to consider coming to Oxford, Ohio, though. 4 of them are gyms, in fact, and I don't think we're going to be able to land them just because I can only put 50 hours a week into these players. But I have to keep an open mind. Getting somebody like Niles Duke would be a massive deal. I can't read too much into it since I'm only an offensive coordinator here, and I wasn't planning on spending like any time at this school. But after seeing we only beat FCS Southeast by 4 points, if we lose a lot of matchups this season, we might just be stuck here for a bit. I have no idea how this year is going to go, but we have to play against Cincinnati. They're literally just an hour down the road from Oxford. And I'm sure there's been very few times where the Red Hawks have come out on top of this rivalry. With only having control of the offense, so far the game's actually been going pretty well. Kindred's not playing like a true freshman, and we're trying to establish the run at the same time. Larry Stevens isn't the best running back in the world, though, despite what his overall says, so we're going to try and scramble in with Kindred. And as long as we can keep on scoring points, it won't matter how many times our defense doesn't stop them. The longer the game's gone on for, we have continued to stay out in front, but we're going to need to pick up a few first downs. And that's because we haven't been able to put it away. Cincinnati's kept it tight, but I love that we were just able to pick up like 10 yards. And we are on the verge of beating a top 25 team who's also our rival. This is where I feel like we need to throw the ball, though. This is everything right here. They're getting in pressure. And this is the worst part about being just an offensive coordinator. If they get in field goal range, this game's over. So far, though, I'm liking what I'm seeing. They're just going to complete a short pass. And the Bearcats have no timeouts left. On 3rd and 16, they're going for the sideline. But something didn't go well, so we could pull off the win with one more stop that we get. This wasn't exactly how I saw this one ending. But at the moment, I think I'll be able to get a job at a small school as a head coach at the end of the year. And I had no idea Miami, Ohio had won that many in the rivalry series. Maybe we do stand a chance against the Tigers. Either way, I was going to simulate it because I wanted to be able to hop into conference games later in the year. But I was not expecting to see that we actually won 27-17. For being a level 1 head coach, I feel like things are going a little bit too well, but it's all because of Rashad Kindred, who I couldn't take to another school if I wanted to. And as long as we keep on having success on the field, I think some of these 4 stars, despite not getting many hours put into them, could actually still commit to Miami, Ohio. For that to happen, though, we need to make sure that we keep on winning, so we'll see what happens against Western Michigan. And I knew there'd be a moment where we came back to reality. I just didn't think it was going to be against the Broncos. That leaves me with no choice but to hop in against undefeated North Texas. Because if we're not going to do well in MAC play, the least we could do is go undefeated during our non-conference schedule. So far, I'd say things are working out pretty well for us. We have a 7-3 lead on them. But we are going to need to pick up a 4th and 1. We're just going with the handoff and what happened to our left guard. If moments like that just went our way, this would not be a tight matchup as we get closer and closer to the 4th quarter. But once again, we find ourselves in a 4th and short situation, and this time we pick it up. I'm glad our offensive line actually blocked properly there. We're just going to scramble in with Kindred. And did he just end the play by clearing a kid in the end zone? I'm not sure what happened to him entering the 4th quarter, but he started playing on a whole other level. And so did our defense. They got a pick 6. They've continued to hold it down. And that's given us an 11-point lead in the final seconds. North Texas needs to pick up this 4th down, and they do. They are technically not out of it yet. I have zero control, but we knocked it out. And I feel like every game this season, whether I've played it or not, has been extremely tight for the Redhawks. I couldn't tell you how the rest of the season's going to go, if they're going to be able to win the MAC conference. But let's just say that they don't. I'm able to sign some 4 stars here and continue to have success in the future. When it comes to the 4-star gyms, though, the guys that are the highest priority, some of those battles are going to come down to the wire where we're probably not going to win. And I just have to be okay with it since I don't want to spend much time with the Redhawks. All I've done is continue to simulate where Niles Duke, the 4-star quarterback, chose us. And we have also been able to continue winning games, but I just realized something. If we end up having this great season and we continue to sign 4 stars to Miami, Ohio, I could get a head coach job offer at a smaller school in the MAC and then have to play against the team that I'm building up. That's why after signing a few 4 stars to Miami, Ohio, I'm done recruiting. I don't want to keep on building up this school that I plan on leaving. We only won a few battles anyway, but if we're going to win the MAC, if we're going to get to the conference championship, we have to beat Toledo. And I'd say for my first year on the job as an offensive coordinator, it's been pretty good. There has been an issue with our defense in this matchup, though. They've already given up 24 points. And I'm hoping our transfer tight end who came in from Kentucky, Jordan Dingle, can get open for a touchdown here, which he does. But we have a mountain to climb if we're going to pull off a comeback. We ended up doing a pretty good job, but we still find ourselves down by a few points in these last couple of minutes, which makes this next drive very important. And instead of getting us to midfield, I threw an interception. All that we can do is watch as our defense flips the side of the field that they're going to, almost giving them a lane. And I'm just asking for one more opportunity, which we're going to get. When schools come offering for a head coach position, I want to have some really good options. And if we can take down Toledo, I know that that's going to really help with them. But as you're starting to see, our offensive line clearly needed some work. I'm actually going to go for a huge play, though. Their corner just can't keep up with our receiver, and that is what he's done. We might have some high overalls on this offense, but we certainly do not have speed. That's a whole other thing, so we're just going to have to go for the 50-50 ball. Tracy brings it in, and I don't want to just settle for a field goal to send this to overtime. I want to go for a touchdown. We just got ourselves a little bit closer. It'd be nice if the clock could stop, though, so that's why I'm running out of bounds. And I like that matchup over on the left side of the field. We got Virgil beating them off of the line, but it was underthrown, and he still catches it. This just shows that this kid no longer needs to be playing in the MAC conference. He's ready to play with the big boys, playing the SEC. I mean, what a physical play. He bullied him all around, and then they're going to stop the run. With only 20 seconds left, there's a little bit of urgency that we need to start hitting. And I can't hand the ball off again. We don't have any timeouts, so I'm going to immediately roll out and then go for the tutty. Hopping into the 3 regular season games that I allow myself to this year has gotten us 3 wins we might not have had. But I have to sim the rest, and a lot can go wrong whenever you sim over the course of a few weeks. Evidently, things didn't, though, because we are in the MAC championship. We're ranked in the top 20, and not many other schools in our conference saw much success this season. It's actually really sad to see, but that's going to give a lot of openings for head coach jobs. We'll see what type of opportunities that I get, but I have a feeling that we're going to be staying in the MAC, coaching for another program next season. And the last time I started unemployed unemployed for a video, did a 10-year coaching career, we were not this fortunate. My time as a coordinator is going to be cut extremely short because of how great our landing spot was. But we still have to be able to eventually win it all as a level 1 head coach. That's where things get tricky for us. On 4th and inches, the game could have ended right here. But they're going to be able to spike the ball, and they have a couple of chances to reach the end zone where they just got even closer. If our defense causes this conference championship to go to overtime, I would be so upset. But they're not going to get off another snap, even though that pass was somehow completed, and we're good. We kind of just walked into this great roster, and I have no complaints about it. We already have 1 trophy as a coach. Assuming we beat Marshall as well, we'd finish this season with 12 wins. But as much as I should be caring about our final game still, I'm going over to the job offers screen. This is all that matters. It's what I've been waiting for, and we could go to San Jose State. What I will say though is there's probably going to be some other head coach openings. Like, I'd love to go to Ohio instead. The reason I don't want to go to San Jose State is I've coached in California before. Recruiting is brutal there, and I won't be able to get any recruiting upgrades throughout this entire video since I do have to stay as a level 1 coach. I'm actually going to pass up on that opportunity for now, hop into this bowl game, and hope that on the other side of it, especially if we can win, that we have a better offer. I must have been a little bit tuned out of this game though, along with the rest of our offense, knowing that I wanted to head somewhere else because we've only scored 24 points. They're not going to knock it loose. But even if we get in, unless we get an onside kick, this game is going to be over. It's unfortunate that we're going to finish 11-3, though Kindred had a great freshman season. That's 1 final touchdown, and I think he's already climbed like 5 overalls. He's going to be a monster to face if we end up in the MAC conference. They get the onside kick. Even in my short time with Miami, Ohio, if we didn't win a bowl game, I've still built them up pretty well. And I assume correctly that there would be more head coach offers by the time that we advance the week, so I have 3 to choose between. To be honest, with North Texas finishing 14th in the country, this should seem like a no-brainer. I'd get to recruit out of Texas, and that could allow me to get a much better job in the future, but they're going to be losing quarterback Chandler Morris and some of their other best players. Then you have Middle Tennessee, who finished 2nd in Conference USA. They went 7-7, losing the conference championship, but again, some of their best players are going to be departing. They would have a senior quarterback that would be decent, but I think if we really want to be put in a position to thrive, we're going to have to go with James Madison. Alonzo Barnett III is an 86 overall quarterback. He's going to be a senior next year after improving even more and recovering from injury. So even though I wanted to choose Middle Tennessee just because their social media team last year, whenever I was choosing my first rebuild for College Football 25, was incredible, we're going to go with the Dukes. The expectation here is going to be pretty high, so we have to keep in mind we could get fired if I'm not good. But I think I've made it pretty clear in this video. I just want to keep on jumping around, and this could allow me to land an even bigger job in the future. I have 9 years left to win a championship now. We're going to have to leave behind Rashad Kindred. That's the one big loss that I'm not excited about. Some of the other players were most likely just going to graduate or transfer anyway. And I accidentally skipped over the part where I got to hire my staff, so I might have to replace these guys next year. There is something far more alarming though. Alonzo Barnett III, the reason I took this job in the first place, he's threatening to transfer out along with our best running back because of coach prestige. And I'm sure it's because he's starting to get offers from big schools that were able to make it near the playoffs. If we can't convince him to stay, that's going to be a major blow, but he has decided that he's going to return. And then I had a few other persuasions that I could use. I'm going to try George Pettaway even though it was very low. The only other guy we convinced to come back was this freshman receiver. So that's extremely frustrating, especially when we're losing a lot of our starters to graduation. But you know what? We had a player drafted, so that's going to help out our pro potential grade. And I can recruit any position here at James Madison. There's just going to be some guys that are easier to land than others. With only 5 players signed at the moment, I know that I need to try and bring in a big class, and it's not going to be easy. A lot of these players are going to want to go to other schools. But I did my best to spread out our hours across as many recruits as possible. And I think I ended up getting the 1 4-star transfer that we could go after at running back, or Ohio State got him. For a moment, we had a lead, but it stinks that we're going to lose some of these battles. I knew that was going to happen. I think we're still going to end up having 21 targets on our board. And just like we did at Miami, Ohio, we ended up building a solid class, at least for our level, for having a little bit of time at the school. I wasn't able to scout these guys, and as a level 1 coach, I probably won't ever be able to do much scouting, but we did get lucky. Braylon Staley as a wide receiver has star development. And at some point, we're going to have to replace our quarterback, find another guy for the future who could always end up being someone like LaMarcus. It's going to be interesting to see what we can build at James Madison. Alonzo Barnett III is our best player by far. Everybody else is an 83 overall or lower. And this roster feels so bloated that I'm going to probably start cutting players I don't see a future with. To my surprise, there really weren't that many seniors on this team. We only have 13 of them. We have 27 freshmen, so we have twice as many freshmen than seniors. And just off of the recommended players that I should recruit, it looks like we might have a chance at getting a couple 4-stars. It ended up being 3 total. One of them is a gym, one of them is a running back that is 91 speed, and the other is a middle linebacker that's a bust. But I still want to get all 3 of them. Outside of that, we're just going to load up up on 3 stars. And just taking a quick little look at our roster, we have Tyler Douglas for next year whenever we lose Alonzo Barnett III. J.C. Evans could end up being good for us at quarterback. At the running back position, we're pretty young, so we'll have those guys for a while. Receivers as well. So I feel like the ceiling is super high for James Madison, who's actually coming in as an 84 after I got rid of some of their worser players. Virginia Tech is an in-state opponent that I would love to take down in my first game with the Dukes. And through the first 3 quarters, you can see that James Madison isn't necessarily on the level that I want them to be on. But we have plenty of time to build them up to establish the program I want to have. And I know last season went amazing for us with the Redhawks, but I think year 2 is going to be a little bit more of a disappointment. Despite having an 89 overall quarterback, he's still missing throws, and we are just going to get it within 14. But the longer this one's gone on for, the worse it's looking for us unless we can get them off of the field on 3rd and 3, and I can't get back to that player in time. I thought I'd be able to, but he was farther upfield than I was expecting. And the next week, we have another chance to beat a school from Virginia in the ACC, but this one I think we can handle in sim. I might need to take that back though. Being an 83 overall is not everything. We are not able to get a win there either, and looking at the rest of our schedule, we've played the hardest 2 opponents. We just need to turn it around at some point, and this would be a good chance to. Marshall is the school that ruined my chance at winning my first bowl game as a coach, and it's looking like I'm going to be 0-2 versus them in my career unless we can finish this one out. I will say the shadows in James Madison Stadium do not make me happy. They make it pretty hard to see parts of the field, but we're going to force an interception against Marshall, and we needed that pretty bad. They're also going to run commit, which means we can just throw for the easiest touchdown ever. Except that is not good enough. We're going to have to hand it off and run for it instead. There's a reason that I'm happy we're recruiting a 4-star running back as well. Ernie Cleveland's not the best. It's his offensive line that does the work most of the time, and that's how we're going to walk away with our first win at James Madison in our first Sun Belt Conference game. Then we get to face off against FCS West, so it's like we were gifted a free win. And I'm proud to say that we were able to bring in a 4-star even if he's a bust. We lost out on the gym at right guard, but we could also sign Cedric Bayless at running back. That was another goal of mine I had. We're just going after the other 3 stars I mentioned too. I can't do too much scouting, so it's not like I can say that I'm super excited about some of these players, but we just have to hope that they turn out to be good. And Old Dominion's one of our rivals who I don't think we should sim against, but I'm going to. I've already hopped into 2 games this year. I can only play 1 more regular season one, so I didn't want to waste it. And just taking a look at the rest of our schedule, we might be able to win the rest of our games. Next season though, without Alonzo Barnett III, that's where things get interesting, because we're not just going to be able to lay 42 points into Appalachian State like we just did. I am starting to wonder what's wrong with Cedric Bayless though, the 4-star running back, because he doesn't seem too interested in any of the schools in his top 3. And all I'm going to do for the next few weeks is continue to sim. I can't say anything too exciting is happening. We have players that still want to transfer out despite being 6-2. And we still have not been able to get the commitment of Cedric Bayless, where Liberty just came out of nowhere and got it a lot closer. We do have 1 more game that we need to hop into though, because the Sun Belt has divisions, and in our division is Coastal Carolina. If you look at the rest of our schedule, we only have a few conference games left, and if we are able to take them down, that would lock us into the Sun Belt Championship. So we just need to keep on winning, which we have been doing either way. I knew that I wanted to inherit a good team, but I'm starting to consider going to another school at the end of this season. And it's not just going to be players that are swapping schools every year, assuming that we finish out the season strong. I've treated my coaching career so far like I'm a player in the transfer portal, but I want to climb the ladder as far as I can, because I'm not sure how I'm going to do in recruiting. If I can't get the best players, if I can't use tactician to boost their overalls, how am I going to win a championship? I need to keep getting to bigger schools, and that's going to be possible if we're able to close this one out, which we just did. From this moment in the year, all we have to do is win our final 3 games. We're going to be 10-2, and it was even enough to make Cedric Bayless commit to James Madison. I'm really just hopeful that we don't let a worser team beat us, but there is just something about UConn in Dynasty Sims that always seems to come out on top. They aren't a conference opponent, so we're still going to be in the conference championship game, and it looks like it's going to be against number 16 Louisiana. We certainly had a little bit of a mini collapse to end our season, losing to number 25 Louisiana Monroe. I can't believe that they're ranked. And the Sun Belt seems to be having a little bit of a come up, maybe not inside our division, but in the West instead. It's nice to see, but it's going to make it hard for us to take down the Raging Cajuns. And I just can't imagine having this much success 2 years into a 10-year coaching career, but it can happen. We win a conference again, and there will be some Power 4 schools that are willing to consider us. We're just going for the scramble touchdown. And I know we have some 4-stars on our bench that are waiting for me to coach them next year. But if I get the right offer, especially after annihilating Louisiana in this championship, I won't be able to pass it up, because I don't know when that'll happen again. There's something pretty sweet about being able to take a 28-3 lead and never choking it. And this was not entertaining TV. This was a boring conference championship. Alonzo Barnett III deserved this though. And I have to wonder, am I just going to be collecting a conference championship trophy every season? I mean, this team was just a few wins away from potentially being in the running for that 5th automatic playoff spot. We get NC State in our bowl game though. And if I'm just being honest, I don't know if I see us winning this one, which is why I'm more excited to look at the job offers again. Will there be any good ones for us? Offensive coordinator at West Virginia. You know, there were some intriguing head coach openings like Maryland and Georgia Tech that I would have loved to have been considered for. But to be completely fair, I've proven almost nothing so far. We just went 9-4 with James Madison in the Sun Belt. And I can probably get a lot better offers if we beat NC State and then we have another successful season next year. I've put my plan in place to job hop once again, but we are playing this matchup with a backup quarterback. And so the fact that we've even kept it competitive without Barnett is impressive. It's not like he's missed the entire game. He's only been out for the second half, but still, that's a lot of time where we could have lost. And I guess at the moment, NC State is worried that we can hit a field goal from here. We definitely can from this range. They're trying to use their timeouts, but there's not much that they can do now. And so as the final seconds tick down, we're just going to make sure that we don't miss this. It's perfect. And that's going to be my first bowl win as a head coach. Last season, I did accept my job after we played our bowl game though. So I could still move around to another team. We could go back to Miami, Ohio, who just offered me a job as their head coach. We could go to Cincinnati, a rival. We could even go to Marshall, who we have had some history with in this video. But I think there's a clear answer on what we're about to do. The Redhawks finished second in the MAC this year, so they lost the conference championship, and as long as Rashad Kindred's still there, we're going there. It almost makes too much sense to go back to the school where I was originally a coordinator. I just had to prove that I could handle being their head coach. And the standard for this program is winning the MAC championship, so we need to try to do that every season. I'm not sure how much sense this move really makes, but one thing I have found is if we get Elliott Truman, he would help us out a ton in recruiting. And then for the defensive side of things, we'll have a little bit of help there as well, but more so focusing on the tactician. It is very important that our coordinators are gifted whenever I have to stay as a level 1. And Alonzo Barnett III might be the best quarterback that I have throughout this entire video, which is kind of crazy to say. He's finishing the year as a 94 overall. His accuracy stats are basically unheard of once you get 5-10 years into a rebuild. And there's a lot of players like Ernie Cleveland that I'm just not going to miss. I'm not too upset that we're leaving James Madison. One way or another, coaching for these small schools, we're going to have to basically go undefeated to get into the playoffs. But that shouldn't be too hard to build up in the MAC conference. I'm just shocked that there's so many players that might transfer out after I've come back as their head coach. As long as I didn't see our quarterback's name though, I'm all good. It does stink that we're going to lose a couple of these higher overalls, but it's just the way it goes. Most of the players ended up staying anyway, and we only lost a couple. Every season though, there's a lot of talented starters that graduate, including the 3 best receivers on this roster. But this just must be a gift. I go into recruit for Miami, Ohio, and we're at first place for a 4-star receiver. The old coach was also already able to bring in another 4-star recruit. You're going to see that they have plenty of 3-stars signed too. And I am not inheriting a bad team, that's for sure. We might not have the most pro potential in the world, but we can work on it. When it comes to the transfer portal, I want to find players that aren't just going to be around for one season, though it seems like that's what a lot of these receivers are going to be doing. And I don't really care if we get them or not, because we have 4-star Derek Mower coming from Kentucky up to Oxford. We're actually going to finish this class with quite a few wins I was not expecting. So we did lose to Western Kentucky on a guard, but then we picked up 4-star running back Ben Gash. And then if we go down a little bit farther, all these 3-stars we won besides a receiver that was a transfer, no big deal at all. That's 32 players signed, where I barely had an impact on this class. I know that they started with 14 guys already signed, and I had 4 weeks to get in the players that I wanted, finishing 33rd in the country though. That just blows me away. I guess I have to hope next season we sign more 4-stars than this, though I don't see how that's going to be very possible without any points in the recruiter tree. And honestly, the benefits of our offensive coordinator just not being that strong. All of this is just going to allow us to put more hours into quarterbacks and halfbacks alone, but no other position. It's definitely going to take some time for us to find our groove here, though if we can produce some speed rushing linebackers, that's going to help. And I think those transfer receivers are proving to be pretty useful, even if they are only around for a season. With some good off-season progression, it looks like we're going to be sitting at an 82 overall. We have an 85 sophomore tight end, which is exciting, though Rashad Kindred has stopped progressing as much as he was. And that's because I forgot. I planned on leaving the school after a couple years whenever he capped out his accuracy, because he can't get that much better. I've not forgotten about Niles Duke though. He was a 4-star quarterback that I recruited. I'm hoping that he can at least reach his potential at some point. We're going to redshirt him this season. And I'm not sure if the computer just really over recruits or what, but I have so many roster cuts that I'm going to have to make. That takes us up to an 84 overall going into this year, but it doesn't solve the issue that we have players that want to transfer. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but once again, we've walked into a program where a majority of our players are super young. That really helps if we do lose some players to the transfer portal, especially since they're all young. And after looking extensively through this roster, I think I'm going to stick with Miami, Ohio for at least the next few seasons, unless I get some incredible coaching job that I can't pass up. The reason being is we have all these 4-stars that were just interested in coming to our school off the rip. I didn't even have to put them on our board for them to have interest. A lot of them are in first place as long as we're putting hours into them. And I think we could be like the Gonzaga of the MAC conference over the next few years, which is just going to allow me to build up my reputation. I am a little bit worried about how we're actually going to do in recruiting long term though. We'll see what happens. I just would like to have a schedule where it's pretty easy to pick up wins. But I could say all that and then we could go out and we could blow it against Western Michigan. It looks like Western Michigan wasn't too much of a problem for our offense, but our defense gave up 31. And if we're going to be here for a bit, this rivalry against Cincinnati is going to be serious. If they're going to give us a ranked opponent that we can take down every season, I will gladly take that. Purdue was ranked on our schedule as well. So those are going to be some of the more challenging games that we've had this year, though we have not had an issue this far in the game. We might not have scored the most points in the world, but Cincinnati has 0. We're about to go up by 3 possessions. We just need to make sure that we get this 2-point conversion, and I'm going to roll out. That was always my plan, but they're trying to stop us too. From that moment, I honestly thought that they didn't stand a chance, but they've worked their way back into it. And it's going to be interesting to see if our aggressiveness works on 4th down. It just doesn't. It's looking like they're going to be able to score a touchdown. They throw it, we knock it loose. And here we go, 3rd and goal. They're going for a pass again, but we have hard flats. I'm really glad that didn't work out for them. I have a lot of guys back here. I had a quarterback spy as well. And I was scared of running it here, so we're just going to drop back and throw it. Though that kid was supposed to be on a drag route, and instead they're getting a pick 6. I don't know what went wrong there, but now I have to fight for us to get back into this game. I'm probably going to choke. And it is now 3rd and 11. They're dropping everybody back in coverage, so we're going to have to scramble and not get enough. I refuse to lose this, though. We are not going to go out off of me thinking that we had a route out there on the field that simply wasn't there. Or maybe we are. What more can I do? They've gotten it to 30 seconds left, settling for 3, where they're going to doink it off the upright. I knew it was coming. That always happens whenever they kick from there. But I just want to say, no matter what happens in these final 30 seconds, we did not deserve to be in this spot in the first place. I feel like we might be able to outrun them. There's a flag. We have so lucked out of this game off of me just being incompetent. And if you could find somebody that has more hours than me and is still this bad at the game, I would be extremely impressed. I am a very impatient player. I like to go for the massive gains, which is why you'll see a lot of 4 verticals. And just like that, we have set ourselves up to win this one. They were not expecting the pass either. That was really weird. It's not like we had any timeouts left or anything, but in the most unorthodox way possible, we were able to close out this game with a 7-point win. If I told you that a few minutes ago, that's not how you would have thought we got it. But I just realized this team is technically shooting for the playoffs. I'm shooting for the playoffs as a coach in only season 3. We're inside the top 25. We have worked our way up the ladder extremely quick. And we even beat Western Kentucky, but all of these guys are still threatening to leave. It's for NIL money. It's not about coach prestige. I'm not believing that for a second. We do have an impact transfer making a difference at receiver. And Purdue started the season ranked. I was going to play against them, but if they're 0-4, surely we're not going to be their first win. On top of that, I did the hard sells a couple weeks ago and then completely forgot to check them, but we do have recruits that are signing. But I have bad news. We somehow fell to the Boilermakers by 10 points. Weird stuff can happen in sim. We're not going to win on some of these prospects, even with the correct hard sell. I'm afraid that for some of them, I had the wrong guess and then I forgot to change it back, so we're just not going to win. And I still can't believe we dropped that game against Purdue. It's going to ruin our chance at the playoffs. On the bright side, 4-star quarterback Colin Kaiser has signed to Miami, Ohio. Over the coming weeks, another frustrating thing would happen, but we had a lot of players on a bye-week visit, which is why you're going to see so many 4-stars signing with us. Just not the ones that I would have preferred. AJ Moffitt chose Michigan, and then when it comes to some of these receivers, Chad Kinley, he decided on Colorado State. He was incredible. So is Wade Whittaker. He's going to Michigan State. And then Deshaun Cruz went to Iowa, but I'll give them their props here. That's a great spot for a tight end to go. This really doesn't make much sense to me, but Central Michigan beat us right after we lost to Purdue. Maybe it's just the fact that we played on the road because Buffalo kept it close as well, and normally they're not that good. But those 2 losses have really hindered our season. Toledo's on top of our conference, and they're also number 14 in the country, so if we really want to make a name for ourselves, we cannot lose. It doesn't say great things about me as a head coach if we've already dropped 2 games this season we shouldn't have. And this team is finding their extra motivation out there in the rain so far because we're currently up 24-7. It's not slowed down our offense in the slightest. And we're just going to keep on increasing that lead, assuming that we can finish this drive off. I'm going to be able to run around all those defenders, and they've just left us open. It's nice to see Kind Red starting to shine again. And with a 22-point win over a top 15 team, we might jump back into the top 25. They had us there at one point before we had that bad run of 2 games. And I think we're just going to end up simming for a few more weeks since our final opponent's one of the tougher ones. There's a problem with that though. We just lost to Akron by 3 points, and all of a sudden we're sitting at 5th place in our conference with no path to the conference championship unless we beat Ball State in the final week. Before we get to that game though, we cannot lose any more of these matchups. And I don't think we did against NIU if Obi Rollins Dyson had this great of a performance. We beat our rivals Ohio 51-7, then we just survived against NIU, but Ball State is ranked 19th in the country. And it looks like we could beat them and then play them again for the conference championship, depending on how this tiebreaker works. No matter what though, to have our chance at getting into it, we have to win. And that's putting a lot of pressure on us, but at least we're at home. So far, it's been the games that I haven't hopped into where we've ended up losing. It's the sim ones. And that just makes me realize that we need to get this roster better, though in the final seconds, they're rushing all the way into field goal range. I'm not sure what to do. They're just going to hand the ball off and try to get a couple more. And then they used a timeout. I guess they're just going to send a 60-yarder. They must have some faith in their kicker. That's going to be in. And I just can't believe that this team isn't going to achieve that much. I had high hopes for it. It'd be nice if I could at least get enough time to get one final throw out, but I couldn't. And this is a rivalry that we're going to have to come back much stronger in next year. It's hard to be excited about this season when I feel like we underperform. But I have to keep in mind, I'm a level 1 head coach. I didn't build up this roster. And I could always make sure that we have another tactician in here instead of a recruiter. Don't get me wrong, it probably helped us this season because we were able to sign quite a few 4-stars for Miami, Ohio, despite losing out on some battles. But I just know that this roster was capable of achieving more this year, and instead we're going to be in a bowl game against Old Dominion. I guess I could technically look at job offers, but my first instinct was just to find us a tactician coordinator. And it seems like Marshall would want me as their head coach, but I've already decided we're going to stay at Miami, Ohio until we got a bigger offer, like Baylor, except I want it as a head coach position, not a defensive coordinator. What would be really sweet is if eventually, like Ohio State offered us the job, then I know I could win a championship even as a level 1 head coach. But we have a long way to go before they're going to consider a level 1, so we just got to make sure that we don't lose here. 9-4 with a bowl win looks a lot better than 8-5 without one. And I'm really not sure if we're going to take a major step forward next year because we don't return some of our receivers. Our roster is actually going to be pretty similar to what we've been working with this year, but it played well. It was mainly the sim results that really cost us besides facing a good Ball State team. And this is going to be another one I've hopped into where we're just going to run away with it at the end. It's going to be interesting to see who considers transferring to Miami, Ohio this year. And if Julius Pryor had to be out there for a few games because Rashad Kindred got injured, that would make sense why we lost some. Our rushing game also just isn't that effective right now, which kind of makes sense. We are a pass-heavy offense. You want to see these guys shine. But I am a little bit worried that some of these schools are going to steal some of our best players. We knew that on top of the guys graduating, that we had players that were considering transferring, but not a single player has decided to enter the portal, which I find odd. Our team prestige went down. We're just a 2-star now instead of 2.5 stars, but I do think it's because our coach stability and our coach prestige increased. There's also some big portal options that still want to play for the Redhawks, including a 4-star cornerback that's ranked 27th in the portal. And if we happen to sign everybody that's still remaining on our board, then this would be an extremely impressive class. That is not how it worked out though. We lost out on this transfer to Appalachian State, and then we also lost out on a 4-star to Notre Dame, but he made the right choice. We ended up signing so many 4-stars, I can't even be upset at him. And a few of these transfers ended up coming in with star depth. We even saw our first couple of elites, one of them on an 86 speed safety. Unfortunately, Colin Kaiser's just going to be impact, but there was a random athlete that also had elite. And I'm guessing this class is ranked inside the top 25, but it almost missed out on it. See, if we could just get a few years into the future from this moment, I would expect this team to run through our conference. But we need our guys to develop first, and I don't know how we ended up having this many talented running backs, but I'm going to have to start moving some to the defensive side of the ball. It's also time that we make Patrick Reeves better at blocking so he can become an even better tight end for us. And it turns out with the incredible offseason progression of DeAndre Branham, we're going to have 2 great tight ends out there on the field. Josh Ringer's jumped up to our best running back, and this is a deep roster. In fact, you could argue that it might even be best for us to put out Niles Duke on the field instead of letting Rashad Kindred start for his senior year. And if we're going to stick with this guy for the next 3 seasons, we might as well do it. His accuracies are already going up. He can still fill them out a little bit more, and he could get his IQ a lot higher. My biggest curiosity now is if we take Patrick Reeves and we move him back to tight end from left tackle, what is his overall going to be? It turns out it's enough to make him our best player as a 95. And there's no way that EA leaves this in the game next year, so keep on enjoying it in the final months on College Football 25. One thing I noticed while I was going to encourage some players to transfer is Ben Gash, the 4-star we recruited last year at running back, has 97 speed and he's still our 4th stringer. So if I really want to use him, I might be sticking around for longer than I thought. And taking a look at this schedule, once again, we have Cincinnati on there, but nobody that's too challenging. We could go undefeated, but we could also lose 4 games. There's really no telling how this will all go, but with only 10 seniors and 12 juniors, for the next couple seasons, I can't sign huge recruiting classes. We just don't have the space for the players. And so I'm going to go after these original, like 10 guys, and after that, I'm not going to worry about it. You're going to see some 4-stars on here. You're going to see some 3-stars at receivers so we can fill that need. And I'll highlight Evan Silva. He's just another option for us to have at quarterback that could turn into something good, but I don't know if we're going to get it. We already have Niles Duke. We already have Colin Kaiser, and I'll tell you this about Colin Kaiser. He has almost unlimited potential. I'm excited to see how he develops. There's basically no reason for me to even worry about quarterbacks for the future, but I always like to have a few that could end up being great. In our first game against Rivals Ohio, we just squeezed out of by 3. But now it's hit me. We have James Madison, my former school, on our schedule. This might be a waste of a game to hop into because I'd like to think that I have Miami, Ohio in a better place. But I could not risk losing to my former school that I coached for, and so far things look good. With time winding down in this first half, it seems like we're about to take a 3-possession lead. I threw that one off of the back foot. And what I really wanted to do the entire time was just run it in. That was risky though, because without any timeouts, we couldn't try it until 4th down. And I'm not sure if James Madison took it personally or what that I left their school a couple years ago, but they bounced back in the second half, making this game a lot closer. Now we are in field goal range. They're running out of timeouts, so there's only so much they can do. But if we somehow messed up that field goal, they would still be in this one, or Young could just make a play and get us into the end zone. It's a shame we're going to be losing him because he has 99 speed, 99 acceleration, and I think this is the year that we redeem ourselves and win our conference again. In fact, I want to be so focused on that we're just going to sim against Cincinnati. And although it was tighter than I would have liked, it did go well for us. After that, I decided it was worth it to just keep on simulating. We're going to pick up a lot of 4-stars. And it's taken us all the way up until our game against Ball State, who I think I want to play, but I still might avoid it since they're 2-3. Honestly, the rest of our schedule and just the MAC conference in general is having a pretty down year. But whenever it comes to Miami, Ohio, we are ranked inside the top 25 of some polls for the first time. And I just would hate to see a team like Ball State ruin our momentum. These road games are the ones that I've noted I have to worry about. And I thought we'd just outscore them with no issues, but instead it's turned into a defensive battle where their quarterback always has run. We know that's what he likes to do, and yet we still can't stop it. They handed it off on 3rd down. And this time around, I'm ready for the run, so they're going to have to kick 3. They've made this one about as challenging as they could. Just a real pain to have to try and take them down, but there's one player I've avoided, one thing I've avoided trying to do, and that is just throwing it up to our 99 speedster. If we want to hit Young, I know we can win. I appreciate the sacrifice he took there, having to run really fast for a few seconds. And that's going to allow us to go back to our defense, seeing if they can hang on, getting a stop. Up until the final few minutes, it was like nobody could score, but everything changed. And if they keep on taking these shorter throws, it's going to be really hard for them to get this win. Here on 1st and goal, I have to make sure I stick with that slant. They're going to roll out into our sack. Though he is still standing up, we haven't been able to tackle him. And this is where college football 25 is just a joke of a game sometimes. What do you mean that with a full dude, 100 pounds more than this kid, wrapping him up fully, 2 hands on him, can't make the tackle, 3 dudes just dive around, can't hit him, and then they have somebody open there? What are the actual odds something like that happens? I'd say they're slim. I misread with my user there though, so that only leaves us with one option in the final few seconds. I want to get off a quick play, call a timeout, but I didn't put enough on the ball for that to be 4 seconds, so we're going to lose like that. We have a kid with 99 speed. I was just hoping we could throw it up to him, maybe get lucky. They had 2 guys back there no matter what we did. And I'm probably going to have some nightmares about this stupid quarterback. That's literally enough for me to just say, I want nothing to do with hopping into games the rest of the year. I've seen enough. I'm going to put all my trust in Sim. And this is going to be a pretty hard pill to swallow. We didn't end the year just losing to Toledo. We also lost to NIU. That is all with Niles Duke being healthy as well. He was out there the entire season. He threw 16 interceptions, so the sophomore clearly has improving to do. Probably shouldn't have started him this year. And we're not even going to have Kobe Young, who was our #1 receiver, next season. I genuinely cannot believe that we missed out on the MAC championship. Ball State gets in for the 2nd year in a row, and we just have to act like none of that ever happened. I think there's a big disadvantage to being a level 1 head coach. It's affecting how we play on the field. We didn't even get this 3-star receiver. We won the battle for every 4-star, but the 3-star receiver, that's where UAB wins. All that's happening in my mind right now is just that Ball State touchdown being replayed over and over again. I still don't know how they've gotten it in. I don't know how that happened, but it has broken me. I don't care about Hammonds winning all these awards. He's a senior. He's gone off of the team next year. We have to play Iowa in our bowl game, and we are about to finish with 4 losses for the 2nd season in a row. I have no faith going into this one. I still don't want to be Baylor's offensive coordinator, and let's just hope that another year development is what this team actually needed. I looked at our roster on paper and just assumed that we'd run the MAC conference, but clearly that was not the case, and if we are just patient here in the pocket, I could scramble in instead of trying to make a rivalry. As we get closer to the fourth quarter, we are in front of Iowa, but I didn't like anything there. And since then, they've outscored us. We need to stop them on 3rd and 5, which we do. But guess what? I thought I was safe enough to just sim the punt return and then we could go out there, but I couldn't. We fumbled away the punt. So the next time I'll just play the snap and make the fair catch and take another 15 seconds to do that. How do you fumble the punt? It happens in real life all the time, but whenever you're actually out there on the field controlling, it never happens. And I think these past 2 seasons have just been EA humbling us after we got off to an incredible start. As you can see, San Jose State still wants me, FIU also wants me, we're declining. And I am sticking it out at Miami, Ohio until we have a better record than I did my first year as a coordinator. I genuinely can't believe that I actually thought we were going to make it to the playoffs this season. But I'm going to go into next year just as delusional as well, except we're losing Patrick Reeves. He's going to be a first-round pick. That'll at least help out our school's pro potential grade, so we can take that. But there's other pieces, like the best defensive player in the country, that we're going to be missing as well. Even Rashad Conrad, he would have been better as a starter, I think. I don't know. We tried out 2 quarterbacks. Both of them went 9-4. And now I'm looking at this transfer portal window with only one player that we're even going to target, Mike Bannon from Ball State. It would be great to yank him away from our rivals. That team has scarred me, that's for sure, but I don't think we're going to be able to get him just because we're not a Big Ten school, and we can't even guess his hard sell. Even after another week, we still have not unlocked enough to actually guess it. You can see that Michigan State's running away with it. But it's okay, we still ended up having multiple 4-star gyms in this class, one of them with elite development, so that gives us 2 extremely solid safeties, and also just the fact that we were able to get an elite dev transfer too, incredible. We had 10 seniors leave and we've replaced all 10 of them, although the class rank is going to be super low because we didn't go after that many guys. But it's all good. Seeing that we have a 90 overall team with some incredible offensive players going into next year, I'm excited again. And look at what Taylor Cole has done development-wise. He is elite development. He's just a junior receiver who is going to have some incredible hands. He is platinum 50-50, so we can throw it up to him. And with a schedule like this, I have high expectations, though I will say Hawaii was in the playoffs last year and Cincinnati's ranked inside the top 25 again. There's a reason I want to play the Rainbow Warriors, even though we are a 90 overall. And it's not just for the trip to Hawaii. I have a feeling that they could take us down. While it's fresh on my mind, I also just want to start throwing up some jump balls to Cole. I thought he'd have to make an aggressive catch here. He still did, bringing it in for a tutty. And that is that 50-50 platinum ability. I think we could do that all year. Anytime I want as well. Man-to-man coverage, that's fine. We're going to go up to Cole. We're going to let him try and make a play. And here's the thing. Let's say that it doesn't work the first time around. I think it's going to work the second time as we hang on. That's literally been my favorite thing to do throughout this entire game. Of course, we have found some of our other receivers. I remember recruiting him, a 4-star prospect that's finally getting his chance to run out there. And as time went on, even if Hawaii kept it close at first, it was clear who the better team was. Then following that trip, we have a little bit of an easier game. And Derek Moore used it as a great opportunity to get a little bit more comfortable. We've blown out both of our opponents so far, and I'm hoping that we can do the same against Cincinnati. But first I have to talk about our recruiting class, because I haven't touched on it yet. We have Taj Gossett, a 5-star gym interested in our school, 95 speed, shifty ability. And I don't want to get too excited about many of these players, because there's a good chance that I'll be at another program by the time that they'd see the field for us. But we're going after a lot of 4-stars for Miami, Ohio standards, and I'm not even looking at 3-stars at the moment. We are currently on the verge of being ranked in multiple polls. The standard's set high. And considering we just went 9-4 the past couple seasons, I'm not sure why we're perceived the way that we are, but it's great. I have a feeling that if we can just keep on winning, the playoffs should be ours. And that would include 1 or 2 slip-up losses. Of course, the closer that we've gotten to the end of this game, we've not made our life any easier because we let them get it a little bit closer, but we're going to get the interception with Barry, and I'm hoping that we can also return it for a pick 6. None of that even matters, though, because apparently we hit their QB late. They're keeping Cincinnati in it. And after scoring a touchdown, I thought they might go for the onside kick, but they're using their 3 timeouts. They're trusting their defense to hold Ben Gash, who has 97 speed and can get free at any moment. He just didn't happen to on our 2 running attempts, so we're going to throw it instead on 3rd down. And they literally let Taylor Cole just run straight by them for the easiest touchdown. I love when the computer run commits. It's always a pain whenever I run commit and they decide to pass and we have no chance at stopping them. So it's nice to have that returned in our favor. Niles Duke having a much better season this year. And this puts us in an interesting spot where I'm going to be very frustrated when we lose games that we shouldn't. I can only hop into 1 more matchup this season, so I'm going to have to choose it wisely, probably later in the year. That just typically seems to be whenever we collapse. And I figured everything was going to be fine for us, except Kennesaw State, one one of the worst teams in the country beat us 27-16. It just doesn't even make sense to me. All these battles for recruits that seemed like they were going to be locks, that we were going to sign all of them, well, that got flipped around. A lot of our school grades just shot down after one result, and if we lose another game, then it's going to keep getting worse. I don't think Central Michigan would beat us, but I guess you never know. I like to see lots of commits. That seems to mean that we didn't lose, except 2 of them chose other schools. And if I'm making all these 4-star signings inside the MAC conference, I should probably stay at Miami, Ohio for a while. As we teeter inside and outside the top 25 poll again, I just have to hope that we can continue to win. And I know a loss to Kennesaw State was disappointing, but at least it doesn't affect our standing in the MAC conference. It also clearly doesn't affect our national standing because a 5-star receiver, Taj Gossett, was actually willing to give us a chance. But I can't blame him. We've had a different receiver blow up every single week with a great stat line. That's why I just don't understand why we're not winning some of these games by a lot more. And I think our ending to the season is going to be difficult because I know we have teams like Akron on our schedule who are also ranked inside the top 25. If you pair that with the fact that we have to face teams like Toledo, anything could happen. We could literally lose at any moment, fall back out of the polls, and we just have to finish some more drives. We're dominating in yardage, but we're not dominating whenever it comes to points. Eastern Michigan is tied at the top of the conference with us. And if we don't come out on top of this game, it's going to be another year that's just ruined. I still have to have faith in these guys though. Most of our unfortunate losses have always come throughout sim. Other fluky things have occurred before, but I don't think that those are going to happen this year. We just seem to be able to move the ball a little bit too effortlessly, and I love throwing up these jump balls. We're about to end the first quarter with a 14-0 lead, just jumping into the end zone. But after that, I've gotten a little bit dumb. I might have gone for way too many highlight plays over here with Taylor Cole. I just want to get one. And that puts us in a position where with a few minutes left, we're only up by 2, but I think we've beat them deep with that route, and we did. It doesn't matter whenever you drop the ball though. That's why we had to give it back to them, and they're going to try and scramble for the first down on 3rd and 17. But they didn't just try. They were successful, and now they're going to burn us over on the right side while putting a hand up. The taunting's getting a little bit ridiculous. I didn't even know they could do that. It is time to no longer look over in Taylor Cole's direction unless they have some awful coverage on him. I mean, he can beat the press and do this. It's just not as fun as a 50-50 ball. I was ready to take 5-yard in routes the entire time down the field, rolling out, making plays like this. But I'd much rather just go back to our defense where they were able to get a pick 6, and on the final play, they're also going to force another turnover. Just a great way to end it. Akron might have put up a good fight, but they couldn't close it out. And how our year finishes comes down to a few sim results. By this point, I've gotten so many 4-stars to commit, but the only thing I care about is making it to the playoffs for the first time. And as you can see, we're almost a lock for the conference championship. We're also going to have to take down Northern Illinois though, who beat us last year. And just to see this result pop up has me so relieved. For our final game though, we have to play Ball State. We know that they always like to wreck our year. And I wasn't sure how it would go, but I can see that we're number 6 in the country, so we won. Although we should have never dropped a game to Kennesaw State, this was a pretty impressive year. And not just for us, but our conference as well. At one point, Eastern Michigan was undefeated at 8-0. Akron was inside the top 25. Bowling Green's there. So maybe as we have our success, we're just going to lift up everybody else in our conference. And I was a little bit worried by this point in the year we'd have a lot of injuries, but we only have one. We're headed into this game looking to win that trophy for the first time, at least having me as a head coach. I already have one as a coordinator, but there was one main goal I set whenever I joined Miami, Ohio again. And that was winning the conference basically every season, which I'm hoping we're starting a trend with. So far, it seems like we're going to cruise to an easy win. But after scoring the first 21, Bowling Green put up a little bit of resistance. They just can't keep it up. It was honestly too easy to take this one home. And the best part is we're going to have Niles Duke for another season. We're also going to get to be in the playoffs. I'm hoping that we don't have a first round game because that means we'd get a bye. And it looks like we're going to get to face either Vanderbilt or Notre Dame. One of those is much easier than the other. Looking through our recruiting board, I still haven't taken off the players that we lost battles on just because I want you all to see how many guys we went after, how many guys we were successful for 4-star wise, how many we lost. And with a level 1 head coach plus controlling Miami, Ohio, to have 15 4-stars and 1 5-star commit to the Redhawks, that just feels insane. I put all that work in just to get offered the San Jose State job. Again, I don't want it. With Purdue, we could take it, but I think we're in a better spot where we're at now, and Tulane was a little bit tempting. But I feel like unless a super big school approaches, we're not going to take it, and Vanderbilt won. Now that opens up the door for more offers, and it's not a single head coaching position besides at UAB. I don't want to be Clemson's offensive coordinator. I want to be the head coach for a team, and we lost both of our coordinators, so I have to find new ones. It's a little bit annoying, especially especially since some of these coaches just don't fit the way I wanted them to. I would have preferred to have tacticians on both sides of the ball, but we're just going to steal Marshall's entire coaching staff. More importantly, it's time to see how we do against Vanderbilt. They were good enough to take down Notre Dame, and I know way better than to trust that the game's telling me the truth about them being a 77 overall. When you go into a game that prepared though, you tend to have a lot of success. We're entering the fourth quarter up by 14 points, and it's about to get worse. A lot of our best performances this season have tend to come off of our defense just playing outstanding. We've been able to force them into 3 interceptions in this game. We might even be able to return this one for a pick 6. And I think you can see why Vanderbilt is just falling out of this and not competing. We get one more touchdown from this moment, and it's just going to be ugly, which we are about to have. So we have found a way to stumble into the semifinals of my first playoff appearance. That semifinal is then going to be against the Fighting Illini. And I'm looking at this bracket like it is actually possible for us to win it all. I really don't know why these schools haven't even offered me a job though. It just doesn't make sense that we could get Miami, Ohio this far and Arkansas State wouldn't want us. But that's the current spot that we're in with the carousel, and I'm okay with it because I want to stick with the Redhawks no matter what happens. I've spent way too much time, putting way too much effort to recruiting to just lose some of the prospects we have. And for our first playoff appearance to go perfectly, that'd be pretty crazy. We're going to be able to roll out hit Trusick for the first, but we still have a little bit more work to do. Handing it off hasn't gone well either. Ben Gash has 10 carries for 15 yards. It's just been a rough performance from him, but they shouldn't have been so aggressive because as we hold them to just 3 points, we're about to go up by 2 possessions. I really trust our defense to keep on carrying, and they've certainly needed to because our offense just disappeared for whatever reason. It really is a blessing that we have like a 95 overall defensive tackle, though they ran the ball, and that caught me completely off guard. I set up to stop the pass, and then we couldn't even do that. They're trying to scramble in. It's not going to happen there, and they've already used a timeout, which means if we can just hold them, we'd be fine, but it had me stuck on the quarterback spy. Not only could I not click off of him, but I couldn't move. I'm telling you, there's just certain things that happen in this game that make it impossible to have success. I don't know why it happened, but I feel a little bit better that they didn't get that 2-point conversion with the onside kick. Better put my hands back on the controller real quick. We're going to recover it. And I guess they could still get the ball back with like 20 seconds left, but if we run for a first down, this game is over, and this is just going to go for 6. Why not? I had to let Hugo get his moment, especially since I made him the backup until we had Ben Gash get tired. And it's felt like this entire playoff has been a cakewalk for us because I feel like each time we've gotten to play the easier opponent. It turns out you can be a level 1 head coach, get into the championship game, even at a school like Miami, Ohio, but are you able to win it all? That is the real question. We have 10 years of my coaching career. This is only 5 years in. So from a YouTube video perspective, for the best performance, it would make sense to find a way to choke this away, not win. But I don't do that. I'm either good or I'm not. Just based off of the way that things started, it was looking really great for us. But Washington adjusted, they've been able to score, and we've not been able to move the ball that well, as I just threw it straight to them thinking that we were going to get open. Niles Duke has really collapsed under pressure. We've got to pick up this 3rd down. And look at our offensive line. This is a winning battle up front that we were going to get. There's still 7 minutes left in this matchup. There's plenty of time for us to come back. We're going for the jump ball, but it's out of reach. And I'm not sure what is going on with Duke. He had a good season all the way up until this point, but we have to be able to bounce back. I don't know whenever we're going to be able to get back to this point. I mean, it felt like such an easy path for us to get to this national championship, and now we're not even taking advantage of it. At least Taylor Cole was able to make a play there. It's going to be 3rd down, and we'll see what Washington goes with. I'm going with a Tampa 2 coverage where we're going to get a sack. I have also learned from experience, I am not going to let us fumble away this punt return. No, we are going to get in this game. We're going to try and return it ourselves, and all it's going to take for us to win this one is a field goal, so we don't need much. Clearly, the simple throws are going to be pretty challenging for Niles to pull off at this point, though. I stared him in the soul, in the eyes, and then threw it. I really don't know what I was thinking there. So much for it not looking like I'm just choking intentionally. And why are the Huskies not running the football? We're going to have to just let them score a touchdown. I have saved all 3 of our timeouts, but we are in a lot of trouble, especially if we keep missing passes. We ran under that one, and that made it look so easy, but it never feels that easy. We're just going to have to clutch up in the final minute of this game. And I've made some mistakes, that's for sure, but we're fine. As it's now 3rd and 11, I'm actually not feeling terrible about this, though we're going to have to hit that ball out. And I'm just thinking back to a couple of the interceptions I've had in this game where I've stared down our one receiver that's amazing. and I haven't looked anywhere else. That simply cannot happen in the final 48 seconds. We're gonna probably just waste some time. And we still have one timeout left, but I am starting to panic. It is now 3rd and 8. We're gonna wait until we get open. It's gonna be dropped. And on 4th down, they're gonna drop back in coverage. We're gonna have the open receiver, and we're gonna be able to get out of bounds. You know what it was? I looked somewhere other than Taylor Cole. I didn't want to do it, but they have shut him down for most of the second half. And Washington was seconds away from winning a national championship, but we have clutched up. This is really weird. We are just halfway through 5 years into this 10-year coaching career as a level 1 head coach. It is clearly possible to win it all, even early on. But now we have the opportunity to move around to bigger programs or create a dynasty. I don't know if I've just gotten better at the game or what, but whenever I did my unemployed coach winning a championship in 10 years video, which had the exact same setup as this, except I could level up, it took me almost all 10 years to win it all. But here's a level 1, it was no problem. Niles Duke threw for 51 touchdowns. He had over 4,000 passing yards. We almost rushed for 1,000 yards with Ben Gash, and then receiving wise, everybody contributed. The team was just better than I thought it would be. We're obviously losing Jamie Carter as a projected 1st round pick, but besides that, I feel like we're not losing too many starters, especially before they graduate, so I think we're going to be able to run it back. Even though we don't necessarily need to sign a full class this year either, I'm going after it. I want to get 35 targets in here. And in that process, I've been able to pick up one other 4-star while losing another battle for one. But in total, we came away with 33 players, and I am very happy with that. It's certainly really nice whenever you just happen to stumble across multiple players that have elite development. And to sign the number 7 class in the country with Miami, Ohio as a 3-star prestige school and a level 1 head coach, that feels impressive. Obviously, next year recruiting would be a little bit easier just based off of our school grades, though I'm not sure I'm going to do it, because I kind of just want to spend 2 to 3 more years with Miami, Ohio, and then make the jump to the biggest school that offers me. I'm hoping that we can get some huge programs. And at least for the time being, I've done all the recruiting I need to with the Redhawks, though you can see that I have to cut 16 players because I over-recruited. That tends to happen a little bit too often. Maybe I'll go after the few 5-stars that are considering us. But I promise, outside of these 3, I'm not going to target anybody else. I don't need to build out big recruiting classes anymore because we've spent so much of the time in this rebuild recruiting. From here, it's really just about how many games I can continue to win. We have Kennesaw State on our schedule again. That was the one team that took us down while we won it all. And we might not have a 95 overall defensive tackle to lead our defense this year, but our offense is still incredible. Now, I think what I'm going to do for these final 5 seasons is only hop into regular season games if they're incredibly important, because we've already won a championship, so signing 5 stars doesn't mean too much. Winning games, it's expected. And my only remaining goal is to see how high I can climb up on the coaching ladder, so I'm proud to say that we're 5-0, but a lot could change in the final 7 games. We are sitting at number 3 in the country, so it feels like we could lose 1, maybe even 2 games, still get into the playoffs. But we don't happen to have anybody in the Heisman race, and from the looks of it, despite only having 50 hours a week to put into these 5 stars, we're going to get all 3 of them. I really think that from this point, we can just continue to simulate all the way till the end of the year. I just have to cross my fingers that we only lose 1 game or 0. And this is exactly what I want to see. 11-1, number 10 in the country, A+ championship contender. Sure, along the way, we probably dropped a game that we shouldn't have, but the same thing happened last season and we were still able to win a championship. It was Buffalo, number 16 in the country, that beat us by 2. What's happening to the MAC is actually pretty interesting to follow. We have 4 teams ranked inside the top 25, so our success has really elevated it. And I wonder what would happen if we won a few championships in a row. Would the MAC conference just keep on expanding? What I'm going for is another championship run. We just have to win like the next 4 games in a row. And I feel like this season we're really set up for it since we returned so many of the guys that helped us win it all last year. But it's not guaranteed. We still have to go out and perform well, which we're starting to do. That touchdown drive would help us close out this game, but I'm sure our playoff draw will not be as easy as last year's was. Despite the loss to Buffalo, I've also been awarded Coach of the Year, and the Heisman Trophy went to Alabama's quarterback, so it wasn't our own winning the Heisman. I wasn't expecting Niles Duke to, though with 50 touchdowns, I thought he had a chance. We also had Morris Hillis winning Best Defensive Player with his 23 sacks, and let's see our job offers after being the best coach in the country. We're getting defensive coordinator offers from Cincinnati, who we literally just beat. We are only getting 1 head coach offer, and it's from Louisville. I'm never accepting that. If I look at other head coach openings across the country, though, it's not like there's any great ones. West Virginia should at least have us considered, so should Pittsburgh. But maybe they just realized that I'd probably turn them down. We've gotten Alabama for our quarterfinal game, and that's after getting a first round bye as the 4 seed again, but North Texas didn't stand a chance against the Crimson Tide. This bracket doesn't look as favorable for us, and looking at these coaching offers, maybe the carousel is broken, because Middle Tennessee and San Jose State, I'm not going to go to you. Plus, they always seem to have head coach openings, but Florida State could have been interesting. I could have helped save them, revive them. Iowa might have considered. And they just aren't giving me a chance. Maybe if we can win another championship, though, those offers will get better. To figure that out, though, we're going to have to go through a whole other season. And that's why I said I expected to stay at Miami, Ohio for at least the next couple of seasons. On 3rd and 15, they're trying to run for it. They're getting closer. But if they don't pick up this 4th and 7, this game is over, and they're just going for the deep shot. We have a small corner back there that can't keep up. We were in such a good spot that we better not be in the process of choking our lead away. But you never know what's going to happen anytime they get you on a 3rd and 10. Thankfully, we have Taylor Cole, so he can make a play back. As long as we get this 4th and 1, we're going to be just fine in this game, and we got that pitch out at the very last second, which worked well. And it's the reason that even after Alabama scored again, they weren't going to beat us. It took a lot of firepower to take them down, though. And I'm starting to wonder, how would this team do if I had zero control over the result? I've now done hundreds of rebuilds on this channel, and normally the standard is I just hop into 3 regular season games, sim the rest, build a good roster, and then I can play anything that's in the postseason. But another thing I want to test out, especially for next year's rebuilds, is what if I just sim certain playoff games, like I couldn't play until the semis or the championship, or even better, I have to just simulate straight to the 4th quarter, and then from that moment, I can play every snap. Again, the whole goal with this is to make some rebuilds more unique, to make it to where I have to build the best roster possible. And just by simming to the 4th quarter and now being able to play, what I can tell you is we're currently down by 4. I think this could be a fun model because I don't control what happens for those first few quarters. All I can do, no matter what the mountain is I have to climb, is try and pull off the comeback. And so far, I feel like I'm about to throw an interception here. They came down to it, and we're still down by 4. For going for back-to-back national championships, this is not a great spot to be in, though they're not getting the first. And I am so tempted to look over in one player's direction, do nothing else, not even make a read, and see if he is able to bring it in. After this season, we're losing Taylor Cole. And that means I will no longer have the best receiver in the country. It's certainly going to limit us, but they're able to try and do the same thing where they've had success. One thing I'm noticing against these Power 4 schools is our corner plays weak. And I decided I wanted to be aggressive there, that I wanted to send in a blitz, because now, most likely, they're just going to have to settle for a field goal, or even better, they're going to throw us an interception, and we're going to be headed to our 2nd straight national championship, though I literally just gave it back to them for no reason. I'm actually a moron. I don't want to talk about it. I was going for the highlight play. Now they're trying to make something happen. And assuming they drill this, I now need to respond. With 2 timeouts left, I do believe that we can get into field goal range. We just can't miss any passes. And it is hard to believe that he threw for 50 touchdowns, having mistakes like that, though we're going to go up over on that right side and then have it drop out. I know, I collapsed at the end of this game. It shouldn't even be in this spot in the first place, but we should have caught that. And this is not a position I like to be in after choking as bad as we just did. The good news is I think we're going to survive despite me just being really dumb sometimes, though it didn't make a play. You've got to be kidding me. I clicked on to make the play on the ball and we just didn't jump. This game's not over. We're going to double OT. And they're not handing it off. They're passing, so we're prepared for it. We have players in the area. We're fine. All we're going to have to do is score a touchdown. And how many times can I be in a spot where I could have just won it and then I made it more difficult? If it wasn't for Taylor Cole, we would not be going back to our 2nd national championship. But we are. We've created a dynasty out of the MAC conference. And I know Oregon would love to win their first championship, but we can't let that happen. Morris Hillis currently has 27 sacks, so he's having an incredible season. We're averaging 37 points per game. We're the same overall. And let's see where this game is at by the time that we get to the 4th quarter. Well, we've only given up 6 points to the Ducks. They've had a hard time moving the ball. And the longer the game went on for, the worse it got for Oregon. They didn't use their timeouts very wisely, but another problem they ran into is by the time they finally were able to score a touchdown, we scored one too. They just didn't want the national championship enough, so we're going to get back-to-back ones. And honestly, all I care about from here is if I can get a better coaching job or not. Staying as a level 1 head coach is the most successful I've been in a rebuild so far. And I could still have another 4 seasons left. Niles Duke threw for 5,500 yards, 60 touchdowns. It is kind of remarkable that he didn't end up winning the Heisman Trophy. Emmett Levine had 1,500 yards receiving and 20 touchdowns. Just a crazy year. I feel like winning it all every season isn't sustainable, but I guess we're going to find out. Ben Gash wants to go on to the NFL. We cannot convince him to come back. Morris Hillis is probably going to return. And we're saying goodbye to Taylor Cole, Niles Duke, plenty of other beasts, including 2 tight ends that were high overalls by the time that they were sophomores. We had them great for 3 years. Lots of pieces on this team are going to be missed, while the guys replacing them, there aren't many of them. And I could go after some more 4-stars in the transfer portal, but I'm tuned out. I'm waiting for another job offer. I've done it all with Miami, Ohio already. already. I've built them up to a championship level team. Now I'm just curious how far I can go. Is the game going to give me any better offers, or is the coaching carousel just broken and I'm stuck being at Miami, Ohio forever? That's what I'm really trying to test out. We might not have that much success this season because I want to start Barry Conrad with his 91 speed. He's only 1 overall worse than Colin Kaiser. And we'll see how far he can take us. We're the number 11 team in the country, so we're projected to make it back to the playoffs again, but a couple of losses and we might not even get a chance. Well, from the looks of it, we're in the MAC championship. We're number 7 in the country. And yes, we did lose 1 game in Sim again. It was by 4 points to Western Michigan, but from the looks of it over these last few years, I feel like the Sim system in this game is normally pretty accurate. Even though our team should be perfect, I guess I've just been so conditioned to seeing loss after loss that I can't ever expect them to be. There's just always a fluky result, but we could win our 3rd straight MAC championship. And I think we're getting to the point in the video where we're just gonna sim basically the entire game. From my perspective, if it's meant to be, we're just gonna win our 3rd straight. And I just have to trust the roster I built up. I signed a ton of 4 stars while the rest of the conference was probably signing 2 stars. By now, I feel like we've been able to win about every single award. And if I can't get every head coaching job in the country, that would make no sense. It seems like Cincinnati, Kentucky, my favorite team, Louisville, and Purdue have offered me. But there's openings at Clemson and LSU, which I'd much rather take if I want to move up to one of those big premier programs. There's just so many schools on here that I should have the opportunity to apply for the coaching job for that aren't interested in me. And I'm not sure if it's the coaching carousel being broken or the fact that I'm still a level 1 head coach. Either way, I'm making the decision. We've reached our cap in this video. We're gonna go for the 3-peat, but we're also gonna leave it all up to Sim since we'd have to face teams like undefeated Georgia. See how good Miami, Ohio really has gotten. It's kind of sad that my coaching career is gonna end here. I just don't understand why I wouldn't be able to get jobs at LSU or Clemson after winning 2 natties. But that was the last thing I was hoping to achieve. It looks like we annihilated Wisconsin, but then got destroyed by Georgia in the next round. So we're not going to end this video with a 3-peat. Barry Conrad was only a freshman though, so he had plenty of time to grow. I just haven't been recruiting players around him for this team to be good 3-4 years from now. I thought I was going to get to accept another job, but that just wasn't the case. And this video didn't exactly go the way that I thought it would. I spent 6 of my 7 years at Miami, Ohio. The other year I was at James Madison. But we answered the question. You can beat college football 25, winning a championship as a level 1 coach. And if you want to give it a shot, I'd recommend it. Just hope that you don't get messed over in the coaching carousel.